Hello, my name's Bridget Tate. I'm a dressage rider based just outside Shrewsbury, and I'm going to be doing a demo to show how I use pole work to improve my horse's way of going. This is for the Shropshire Virtual Show, which has been put in place to support 5 local charities this year. The first of these charities is the Cavalier Centre. This state-of-the-art equestrian facility in the Shropshire countryside works closely with the RDA to make equestrian activities available for all. Dog Aid is a charity which partners trainers with people and gives them tools to train their own disability dog. Friends at the Heart of RJAH work closely with the Robert Jones and Agnes Hunt Orthopaedic Hospital and provide services and equipment for patients and their families at the hospital. The Movement Centre provide life-changing paediatric physiotherapy to children with disabilities such as cerebral palsy. Last but not least, the Shropshire Rural Communities Charity connects people with the community, providing access to work opportunities and using grants to help local people in need. The horse I'm riding today is a 6-year-old mare owned and ridden by my mother usually, but I borrowed her for the demo. She's a British bred mare, and although she can be lazy, she can also be quite sharp, so it's hard to get a balance and get some consistency in her work. I have lain 3 sets of 3 trotting poles up the school on a serpentine line, but first I'll take her over them on each rein to see if she can do them easily. She did them nicely on that rein. On the other rein, we had a bit of a mistake coming in, so I brought her around a couple more times to check that she was comfortable with them. Next, I started to use the serpentine line that I laid out with the poles. So I would turn, so here I'm turning left, bend her, then I straighten her across the short side, over the poles, bend her the next way, and then turn right. Same thing here, bend right, straighten her over the poles, bend left, turn left. So you're putting a real pattern into the way you ride these poles because you're trying to promote consistency. Whoops, she just popped back into walk then. She's quite spooky at the top end of the arena. Give her a pat and get on with it. As they start to relax, you can widen the poles a little bit more, and then you're just working on consistency, the pattern I described before, where you bend them, turn them, straighten them, bend them and turn them. And doesn't mean you always have to do the full serpentine line. You can turn a circle, you can pop a transition in to help with their balance. So you're just really working on getting them over their backs by allowing the contact forwards and down so that the hind leg can come forwards and they can work over their backs. Here I just realised that the bottom poles were a little bit close together still, so we sorted them out and then she was going over them a lot more fluently after that, which is nice. You can challenge the horse slightly by having poles which are closer together or poles which are slightly further apart, but try not to do too many drastic changes that make it difficult for young horses to keep their balance. So again, I'm just going up and down the poles. That's being fast forwarded to try and just show that I'm just consistently working her, trying not to let anything upset her. Another challenge which you can add into the mix is putting some cheap, these are IKEA potties, underneath the poles to raise them slightly so that the horses have to add a bit more cadence to their trot. I really like the potties because they're cheap, and when a horse smashes one you don't complain too much. That's it. You can see she loses her balance a little bit over those, and that's fine. It's all building strength. You know, you never tell them off, you just praise them when it's right. And if they lose their balance, they almost learn themselves how to correct it. Now we're on to canter poles, which I've put on a circle in a slight fan shape. These are quite nice just to get the horse going consistently. You just go over the centre of them to start with. Check that they're the right striding for your horse. Here, that's nice, Victoria. That was one of the first times she did them. She did them very nicely. I then attempted to go around once more and did not manage to pull it off. She got a bit sticky there in the canter, so I tried to push her forwards a little bit, but she just come behind my leg too much to make it over these poles. And you can see, like, you don't have to tell them off because they realise themselves that they've got in a sticky situation and they should have listened, or, you know, they have to save themselves and put in more effort. So it's quite a nice way of teaching a young horse that you're not always going to tell them off, you're mainly going to praise them. That was better. There I just collected her slightly and brought her to the inner side of the pole. Then once she's done a nice collected one, I'll send her forwards a little bit and aim for the outer edge of the pole, which is slightly wider because of the fan shape. and just see if she can make it over a slightly larger distance. That's good. It's very easy then to teach them differences in the canter because they have to go forwards or collect a little bit to make the poles. I kept her in the slightly forward canter just to take her over once more. There, she did it nicely, so she gets a pat. And then I start to collect her for the inside of the poles, which she struggles with a lot more. Naturally, she prefers to be more strung out in her canter. So I take her over and she breaks into the trot there, straight into canter, and you give her a reward straight away because she really tried for me. And then, of course, changing the rein. Oh, that was a complete splat. But as long as she picks up the canter, it's not the end of the world. I think the main thing with poles is to just have enough space in between them to regain your balance and get her going again. Then I sent her forwards again. Over this set of poles, she came a little bit against the hand. You'll see now how she hollows slightly, which is fine. That's where she struggles a little bit. So I'll take her a little bit deeper, keep sending her forwards, and there she was a lot softer through her back. Now we are getting to the end of the session. She was quite tired and she broke into trot here, and I got a little bit flustered with her, to be honest. Was a little bit kicking for the canter, but that's fine. She picks it up, she stays calm, and she's quite happy in that. You have to remember to give them lots of walk breaks with the poles. They're hard work. And I think we underestimate the athleticism required from the horse to change its way of going and go over these poles. After going over the poles for a final time, I gave her a very short stretch in canter because I didn't want to lose her balance, came back to trot and let her stretch off for quite a long time in trot, avoiding the poles and doing lots of changes of rein. A couple of things which I forgot to add in. Firstly, just make sure you have plenty of walk breaks. Like I said before, the poles are hard for horses, so don't overdo it with your horse, especially on the first couple of tries. Secondly, ensure that your poles are evenly placed. If one pole is closer and the other one's further away, it's going to make it really hard to create any consistency for the horse. Thirdly, remember that your voice is an aid, so you can use it. A well-timed click or some praise can really go a long way to help your horse understand what you're asking of them. I cannot emphasise enough that praising the horse as they're doing this pole work is so important. The poles will sort out any issues you're having, and then it leaves you to just create a good bond with your horse. You're saying, good boy, good girl, you're getting it right and you're trying really hard for me. Finally, I think it's really easy to forget that we do this for pleasure, and you definitely need to be enjoying riding your horse. So whilst poles can be used to challenge, they can also just be incorporated into a flat work session to make it more fun. So go out and enjoy yourself with them.
I hope you've enjoyed my video. If you have any questions, you can always find me on Facebook under Bridget Tate Dressage. Thank you.